Okay, one more quick video on ggplot. We're going to cover this on Monday, but we'll want to make sure that you have the information to go along with it. This is a quick review of ggplot, the different packages, the plots that are available within here. I know the code is intimidating, but once you get through it, you'll see it's very easy to run. This first code here, and I have text here that helps you understand it. So this will install and load ggplot if it's not already installed. I think we installed it as part of the Markdown series. But then here you'd have to load it. Mine's already loaded, but you just highlight the column and hit Control Enter, or you can hit the Run button up here. And we're going to quickly get into creating some plots. So we're using embedded data files. For example, within the tidyverse, which we've loaded, we have access to all these different data sets. You'll see a couple. I'll switch them out a little bit here. But this is just a starter point. You would have to load your data and have it in the environment. And then once it's in the environment, then you would select that data set in the ggplot formula. As you can see here for the first one, empty cars, it's the first entry in the brackets. But just real quick to view so you can see the data. This is car information for all these different brands and a variety of variables for the cars across the top. And we're going to create our scatter plot. So you only need to include this first line, and this will be for all of them, if you are saving to an image file. So for example, if I were to run it without that line, if I go here down to here, and this is the code, you'll see it actually runs them over here. And if I were to include it, which you have to highlight it and then rerun it, so now it's going to this little equals, or it's not pipe, it's it's pointing at this file that we're creating. I'm going to run it, and you'll see it's been added to the data set up here. And then once it's built, I'm not going to cover this functionality each time, but you can you can save it as a PNG file. So you run it, and you don't see anything. But if you go under your files here, and I got to resort the modified. There you go. And go all the way back up top. There it is. Now you can see the file. It's actually a PNG file that you can use, save and import into any document. So super nice. And then the other, so here in the plots, again, I'm going to drop everything into the plots and then also save it, so you'll see how it works. The functionality is the same across all of these plots. You ggplot, you select the you select the data set. So empty cars, which we mentioned is part of the system data that's available, and then you assign the aesthetics. So we have both X and Y for this, since it's a plot. You can build a graph with just an X, but if you're doing, in this case, for a scatter plot or a point plot, is a GG. It's called a point plot within ggplot. But you have the miles per gallon on the bottom, the weight on top, and then we have the facet wrap, which is by cycle. So if I were to take this off and then rerun it, you'll see that it no longer breaks it out by cylinder. So if I turn that back on and rerun it, it's going to drop that cylinder back in, the brake. So 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder. Yeah, so I think that's it. And then the labels, labs, it's the title is equal to scatterplot with faceting, which X is miles per gallon, Y is weight. So if any changes you make here, if I were to just try to abbreviate to make it a little shorter and then rerun just the code, you'll see it just changes the title and both the X and the Y axis. So, and then, once it's, we'd have to run to create it, but we're going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to run, and so I'm going to run all the code. So it's not going to rebuild it in the plot, but it's going to put it in this file and then save it as a PNG file, which we've already done, but I'll go ahead and run that again. So I'm not going to cover all the functionality every time, but I'm going to run each plot so you can see how it works. So this is a different data set. This is air quality. I always like to look at it. Air quality based on day of month, temperature. Again, it's resident data, so you don't really need to load it, but you would be running against your own loaded data. And then I'm going to run this. It's a line chart. So it's actually not a very pretty line chart, but it's a line chart nonetheless. And this is also based on, so we have air quality, the aesthetics, the x-axis is the day, and then y, this is the temperature. And you can see the temperatures vary pretty widely. And then it's, I don't know what the group by one is. I'll have to, let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure we even need that code. Let me delete it and rerun it. And it looks exactly the same. Yeah, so, and then, so you can adjust the color here if you want this to be, it's all lowercase, but you can plug in any, if you want it to be blue. You see when you rerun it, it's going to change the line to blue, which is nice. So you have, it's pretty much language based. You can put yellow, red, orange. And I'm going to run everything here just to, so to put it into the files so that you can see it. Let me hide this. Oh, that's the previous one. I think if it drops it automatically to the bottom. So I sort by when it was modified, and here's the ridiculous line plot that we created. And again, this can be used for whatever data set you bring in. You would just have to make the changes here you can make the changes. You can copy the script, create your own script file. So in this case, we're going to open a script file. And if I wanted to copy this, Control C, and then you can start your own script file for whatever project you're working on. It's as simple as that. Okay, bar chart. So I'm going to just do the same thing, the same functionality here. We'll cover this in class as well, but you'll see the bars. This has faceting, so it's breaking up the bars by, what do I have it assigned here? The facet wrap is by VS. I'm not familiar with that, so let's, if you want, you could look at the file. I'm not sure what this is, but it's I'm not sure what that is. But let's say I wanted to facet wrap by. We'd have to find something that's actually by gear. So within the plot, you can go here. Instead of VS, we change that to gear. Rerun the file. Now the label is still going to say CY because that was down. That was down here. So this is, yeah. So fill. Oh, the fill is still based on. So this one we also have to change this to gear. I don't know what that. Yeah, I believe that's right. Hopefully that works, so I don't have to stop and re-record. Yeah, there it is. Gear works. And you can change. This is the border of the cell, but we added geometric color, and actually fill is up here is filled by the gear color, which is over here on the side. So again, you can run this as you need to, and I'm going to go ahead and run the full group. It's going to drop it into my folder. I want to stop checking that. Then we have box plots, same functionality. So I don't know why. For some reason, that's CY. Let me see here. Oh, it's cycle cylinders. I'm sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I don't know. Anyway, so that's the cylinder. It's the definitely makes sense. So we're going to leave it as a cylinder because we now know what that means. But I think it's good to see how how you can demonstrate how things can be adjusted. And again, just running the code here from below the line. So this gives me the export into the box, into the plot over here. If I include this line up here, you still have to run the code. It's gonna create the file, and then the code all the way down here is what's actually save it. So you would run everything except the view. You don't need that. And then now it should have created that. And then the histogram, again, all the same functionality. First, we're going to do a quick view of the histogram. Sorry. Yeah. We're going to just run the histogram code itself, which gives us the plot. You can see purple. If I want to change that to green, lowercase. And I rerun this data. It's green. It's as easy as that. And then the aesthetics, in this case, it's the motor cars. We only have the X on the bottom. X equals to miles per gallon. But since we're using a histogram, we're using a bin width of 5. If I wanted to make that 10, you'll see it'll get smaller. And this is all functionality that you should be able to master. And 10 is looking a little too big, but let's say if I wanted to do 3, looks a little better. And then this, I'm going to include this line because that's the name of the file that we're creating, which you'll see it pop up over here. And then that's needed when you print it at the end. So I'm using the GGSave function to print. And you should see it pop up. This is a histogram plot right here, and it's also been saved. And then the violin plot. So this is again using that same data. You only include that line if you're creating the file, but you can create the visual without it. In this case, we're gonna just run it. And it does tell you, identifies if you have less than 2 data points, there's no need to include it because a violin plot is actually spreading across multiple data. And then so here there's you can see there's a couple of different colors that are being delivered, and this is because we use fill by cylinder type. Using let me undo that. If you want to use using orange as a color type is not recommended because, as you can see, you barely see it. So I would recommend changing that to black, again, lowercase. And then if you run this, you see it put it in black. And then I'm going to run, again, everything to drop it into a PNG file and run. And that's all. So there's 3 things. You either export to a plot, which is running the code where it starts GGPLOT. If you're going to export to a file, which we have over here, several files that we just ran. You can see they're all right here. You need to create the file which will put it over here in the data environment, and then you have to write the file, which is the ggsave function down here at the bottom. So yeah, and I think that's it. So the benefit here is we have all these plots already. Everything you run in a plot is going to stay there. You have the zoom functionality that you can adjust the size if you want. And the other benefit is we do have the files actually available, that if you want to import them into PowerPoint, you have that ability. And this is just a PNG file, like a JPEG. Okay, we will cover this on Monday. Hopefully this will get everyone up and running in a faster pace. Thanks.